ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here and to share some lessons that I've learned in 30 years plus of training, building future leaders. My name is Mike Morales, and I'm the president of the Mitsui OSK Line's Magsaysay Maritime Academy. And what I'm going to share with you this morning is about how we develop leaders at our school to promote and advance the safety agenda aboard ship. I think everybody in this room is familiar with this image on my title screen, which shows the wreck of the Costa Concordia, which sank off the coast of Tuscany in 2012, costing the lives of 33 passengers, crew, and salvage personnel. The captain of this ill-fated vessel was later sentenced to 16 years imprisonment for manslaughter, causing the shipwreck, and for abandoning ship while passengers and crew were still aboard. The Concordia is just one of the many maritime accidents that have been attributed to human error. The literature shows that as much as 75% of all maritime accidents are due to lapses by the crew. Several factors have been identified that contribute to human error, including, but not limited to, fatigue, stress, poor teamwork among the crew, over-reliance on technology, lack of training, and multitasking. This is what Apo Balocas mentioned earlier, that we need superheroes aboard ship. But unfortunately, we don't have superheroes. Now, I would like to focus my report on multitasking in the short time that I have as a cause of maritime accidents. I have used as reference this excellent comprehensive research by a team of researchers from the University of Tasmania, led by Asanka Rajapakse, a master mariner. Now, Captain Rajapakse and his colleagues identified 3 causes of multitasking: administrative burden, referring to the voluminous paperwork and reports required by the crew, by the principal and port state authorities; insufficient crewing, referring to the practice of some companies of hiring only the bare minimum complement to comply with regulatory requirements; and the lack of a speak-up culture aboard ship. The lack of a speak-up culture aboard ship. I would like to spend the remainder of my report on this last element, the lack of a speak-up culture aboard ship. What does this look like, the lack of a speak-up culture aboard ship look like? Here's how one junior officer describes it. Let me just read this transcript. Safety is mainly only talk and paperwork. You make noise about unsafe multitasking and you will be branded as a troublemaker. We have a motto: the people who are in the good books of the company are the people who keep quiet. We have a motto: somehow manage the ship with 0 accidents, but accidents still happen. A rating, by the way, these are not the people who made the statements, they're just photos, right? One rating described it as follows: the bosun is the one getting jobs from the chief officer and passed on to us. He knows we cannot do all the work safely, but he is dead scared of the chief mate and never speaks up to explain the situation. We somehow manage most of the time, but not very safely, doing many jobs simultaneously. Again, superheroes expected. The lack of a speak-up culture affects the aviation industry, and maybe it's documented there better than in the maritime industry, thanks to the black box recordings that record the final conversations between the captain and the first officer just before the crash. It was found that some of the first officers were too intimidated by a senior captain to say anything about unsafe situations. Many airline pilots have a military background that enforces a rigid hierarchical structure between superior and subordinate. Now, this power distance that is found in most military organizations also exists in many Asian countries, like the Philippines, where age, rank, position, and tradition are revered. At the MOL Magsaysay Maritime Academy, we equip future officers with the knowledge, skills, and attitude to become excellent seafarers. And this includes speaking up, especially when safety is at risk. All of our training and memos will have little effect if the underlying cultural realities that affect the current generations are not addressed. As good old Peter Drucker puts it, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now, what are these cultural realities that affect many Filipinos, Gen Zers? Here are some of them. First, there is the Asian honor-shame culture that affects Filipinos and other Asians. Honor in this context refers to the esteem or respect that an individual or group receives from society. You might have heard of honor killings or even suicides, where a person is killed or kills himself because of the dishonor that he has brought a family or a group of people. Now, that is an extreme example of honor-shame thinking, and thankfully we don't have many of those, if any, here in the Philippines. Nonetheless, we Filipinos are affected by the honor-shame culture, as evidenced by words in our vocabulary like napahiya or walang hiya. Now, the issue is not about being right or wrong, but being honorable or dishonorable. Acquiring honor and avoiding shame or losing face are the highest goals. In the honor-shame society, communication is indirect, as mentioned by our previous speaker. Body language, tone of voice is used to communicate feelings. Sometimes, oftentimes, what is not said is as important, if not more important, than what is said. Confrontation is avoided. We Filipinos are not good at confrontations. And when we do confront, because we're not used to it, we're clumsy, and we end up being disagreeable. Thus, a person who is steeped in the honor-shame culture would rather not speak to a superior when safety or principle is at risk. Another cultural factor that needs to be addressed is the conformist attitude of many Filipinos. Now, let me just share with you quickly, as my time is running out here. This followership model by Robert Kelly. This is now being used in many leadership training institutions in the world, including the U.S. service academies. Now, in this model, there are 4 quadrants. The horizontal axis measures the level of engagement of individual with the goals of the organization. So towards the left, 1 and 3, a person is passively engaged with the organization. And to the right, 2 and 4, a person is actively engaged with the organization. On the vertical axis, 1 and 2, critical thinkers. At the bottom, uncritical or dependent thinker. As I go over the description, I'd like for us to exercise a thought experiment. Try to see which of these followership models are most common in your organization. Is that okay? As I describe each one of them. Now, the first one is the passive follower. Uncritical thinker, as you can see, is to the left, lacks initiative and sense of responsibility, needs much supervision, right? You leave this person alone, nothing happens. Leaves thinking to the leader. And this is important. This follower is the result of leaders who are overly controlling, punishing every mistake. And you might hear him say, no talk, no mistake. Now, we know people perhaps like that. Okay, so bottom left. Second is conformist, bottom right. So it's actively engaged, but uncritical thinker. So willing participant, masipag, but dependent, uncritical thinker. Overly concerned about avoiding conflict. Carries out unethical even illegal orders, right? And that's why some people prefer this kind of follower. And results, again, results of leaders are overly controlling, punishing every mistake. And this person can be heard saying, I was just following orders. All right? You're still with me? So, okay. Third, number one, to the left, passive, but critical thinker. So, does that contribute to solving problems? Silent in the meeting, silent in the conference room with this posture, right? Maybe previously effective, but experienced frustration, maybe was abandoned, left holding the empty bag. You might hear this person say, I told you so. This is the person who's silent in meetings, but during the coffee break in the restroom, gives a long speech, right? So I see people smiling, so, we all have this. Now, the effective follower, critical thinker, actively engaged, has courage to initiate change, courageously dissents, product of good mentoring and affirming role models. And you might hear him say, Captain, I recommend we reduce speed in these restricted waters. I have 30 seconds left. I'll go very quickly. These are the other cultural concerns. Power distance, colonial mentality, gender stereotypes, learning challenges of Generation Z. Now at MOL Magsaysay Maritime Academy, we have an intentional approach to dealing with leadership. We're not just a technical maritime school, we are a leadership school. So we have a coaching process. This is our main tool in transforming our officers, our cadets. And these are the domains of coaching. It's not just kapihan and talking about things. I'll go quickly. So the goal is to transition every cadet from where they are, passive, conformist, alienated, into becoming effective followers. And excellent merchant mariners will speak up when safety is at risk and promote safety aboard ship. I wish I had more time. If this makes sense, if you think this is helpful, we have a little booklet that we can share with you. If you have a learning leadership agenda in your organizations, we brought about 100 copies. I didn't expect this many. If you're interested to get one, my colleagues are over there. Please raise your hand. Make your way to the table and they'll be happy to give you a copy. Thank you very much.